Welcome to this month's special presentation on the Rotary Foundation. This is Jeff Warlick with District 6900, and this month we have a special guest, Sally Platt. Sally is the District Foundation's Grant Chair. Sally's also a member of the Rotary Club of Marietta Metro, and more importantly, Sally has had actual real experience at the Rotary Foundation in Chicago. Sally spent 3 years there working, and she has some fantastic insights into Rotary International Foundation's workings, as well as some great opportunities for clubs in District 6900 to take advantage of the foundation. So having said that, let's bring Sally online. Sally, good morning.
Good morning, everyone, and thanks for joining the webinar today. Usually when I'm speaking to a group of people, we can all see each other, so this feels a little bit strange, but the advantage of a webinar is that if you're having a bad hair day, at least no one will notice. Well, as you know, November in Rotary is Foundation Month, so in anticipation of that, I'd like to share with you today some thoughts on the power of partnerships and how to use them to maximize your money to make the most of your foundation giving and the foundation's grant programs. Now, I expect that most of you know at least something about the Rotary Foundation, and no doubt you understand that the Rotary Foundation is the charitable arm of our organization. But let's do a quick review of where and how the Rotary Foundation fits into the grand scheme of Rotary International. When I was a senior manager on the staff at RI headquarters, we used to talk about the two sides of Rotary as a way of keeping them straight in our own minds. So I thought perhaps this would be helpful to you as well. As you can see, what we have on the Rotary side, for lack of anything better to call it, are the administrative functions of the organization. The club support, meetings and conventions, information technology, and so forth. On the foundation side are the humanitarian service functions. Indeed, there is some crossover between the two, but even then, the staff members are mostly separate. For example, the foundation utilizes the member database created on the Rotary side, and there are crossovers from the Rotary side to the foundation side with PR, publications, and information technology. But even within those divisions, there are staff members who are dedicated to supporting the foundation. We finance the functions and the staff members on the Rotary side through the dues that all of the clubs pay to Rotary International semi-annually. The functions and staff members on the foundation side are financed with the interest on investments from our annual giving contributions. The Rotary side, of course, is under the control of the Board of Directors. The foundation side is under the control of the trustees, which are also completely separate and distinct groups of people who meet at different times and have different agendas, but they both come under the great big umbrella of Rotary International. The Rotary Foundation was established in 1917 for the express purpose, in the words of Arch Clumpf, of doing good in the world. That in itself was a pretty revolutionary idea for the time. World War I was in progress across the Atlantic, and it would only be a short time later that the U.S. would declare war on Germany. Life expectancy for men and women in this country was about 50 years. Travel obviously wasn't what it is today, and neither was communication. And here's this guy talking about doing good in the world? Really? But yes, that was Arch Clumpf's dream, and he wasn't about to let go of it. Finally, he was able to get the Board of Directors of the International Association of Rotary Clubs, which is now Rotary International, to go along with him. And so it began, much as he had envisioned. In fact, it had been his hope that the foundation would be supported by Rotarians and Friends of Rotary, as indeed it is, and his plan to use the funds to support Rotary-sponsored projects all over the world is also being realized. In the process, the Rotary Foundation has become our primary partner in service for both local and international service. We would be very hard-pressed to do all the things we do were it not for the Rotary Foundation. Within the foundation, there are three basic functions: fund development, fund management, which is handled by outside investment advisors, and fund disbursement through humanitarian grants. What sets us apart from most other charitable foundations is that grants from the Rotary Foundation go only to Rotarians for club and district-sponsored projects. Two other large international service organizations, I won't name names, but you know who they are, have now adopted that same practice for the very simple reason it works. What the Rotary Foundation does that is unique in all the world is investing the contributions they receive for a while before using those funds. The interest from the investments pays salaries for the foundation staff and other costs of running the foundation, so that things pretty much come out even. In other words, when you contribute $1 to the foundation, that dollar will be spent on humanitarian service, not on salaries or administrative costs. Now, speaking of contributions, let's see where your money goes. Remembering that annual giving contributions are initially invested, here's the way things sort out once those funds become available for our use. 50% goes to the World Fund, and 50% comes back to the district as DDF, or District Designated Funds, which we use in various ways. Again, by way of review, please remember that annual giving does not include the funds you contribute to Polio Plus. Polio Plus money is considered to be restricted giving, and it doesn't come back to us. Annual giving is money that goes to the Annual Programs Fund. Some of you make those contributions along with your club dues. Some of you make them online through member access on the RI website. I have color-coded this chart for a reason. The boxes in red represent monies that go into the World Fund, which is completely controlled by the foundation and not available to us. The boxes in green represent monies that come back to the district for us to use. So red means stop because we can't touch that, and green means go because that's ours to spend. So what does that look like in real numbers? Well, here it is, the breakdown from last year, Rotary year 2010-11. As you can see, 2007-08 was a very good year for annual giving, nearly $1 million. As a result, we had a comfortable amount of DDF to work with last year in 2010-11. Now let's take a look at what's happening this year by contrast. That's a pretty graphic illustration of what happens to our DDF, the money that we can spend when annual giving declines. Now I'm showing you this not for the purpose of beating you over the head to contribute to annual giving. Personally, the Rotary Foundation is my charity of choice, but I respect your right to use your money as you see fit. It's not up to me to tell you what to do with it. My purpose here is simply to show you how the money available to us as DDF is directly related to annual giving contributions. As contributions have decreased, the amount of money we need for our international projects has increased. Under the Future Vision program, the minimum project budget for a global grant is $30,000. You may recall that we used to be able to do matching grants with a good bit less than that. But things have changed, and that presents another challenge. There are probably a lot of reasons why contributions have declined, but rather than spend time speculating on all that, I'd prefer to think about how to make the most of what we've got. After all, we can't change what happened 3 years ago, but we can change how we respond to the situation. On the contribution side, are we doing all we can to teach our members about the foundation and to encourage them to support it, given the fact that many people are finding themselves in their own financial straits? Some of our members view the foundation in terms of the international projects and programs. Indeed, for a long time, that was the focus. But now, under the Future Vision program, things are different, and we have more DDF available for local projects than we ever had before. For example, we can now use our DDF for local scholarships. In other words, for students right here in Georgia to study right here in Georgia or elsewhere in the U.S. It's not just for students studying abroad anymore. We can also use our DDF for domestic disaster relief, which we've never been able to do before. In fact, all of the DDF we used for disaster relief last year went to help with domestic needs, some here in our own district and some in Alabama. So how do we deal with the double whammy of our decreased contributions to annual giving and the increased funding requirements of grant projects? Obviously, we've got to get creative. In addition to educating our clubs about the foundation and the projects we're able to do using foundation funds, I believe one creative solution we could be using is partnerships. Let's take a look at what partnerships are. It's really very simple. A partnership is an arrangement in which the parties agree to work together to advance their mutual interests. By combining their knowledge, resources, and activities, they can increase the likelihood of each achieving their goals and can do more together than either of them could do separately. When you think about it, isn't that part of the reason many of us joined Rotary in the first place? To be part of something bigger than ourselves? The fact is, Rotary thrives on partnerships. If we think about how Rotary clubs spread in each town, it's one club helping another club to form. And from there, the partnerships, the cooperative efforts just keep building. The challenge is to remember that we're all in this together, and none of us has to do any of this stuff of Rotary alone. On the fundraising side, there are probably several ways we could be using partnerships to increase annual giving. One club I know is using a sort of internal partnership idea in which several groups of 4 members each have gotten together to help each other. Each of the 4 members of the group agrees to contribute $250 per year to the annual programs fund. Now that may sound like a lot of money, but if you break it down, it's really only a little over $20 a month. Stated that way, it doesn't sound like such a huge big deal, does it? And with 4 people contributing $250 per year as a group, by the end of 4 years, each of them will have received a Paul Harris Fellow. Yes, it's just a little game, but it becomes more fun when you're working together. Another possibility for partnering is to team up with another club in your area and hold a joint fundraiser for the foundation. Especially for small clubs, joint fundraisers are a whole lot easier than trying to do everything yourself, and the money you raise for the foundation comes from a source other than the individual members' pockets. Or maybe you do a joint fundraiser and donate half the proceeds to the foundation and half to a local project. Either way, everybody wins. A few years ago, I was on the Cobb Rotary Council, which is composed of club presidents from the 7 clubs in Cobb County. Every year, we had a fundraiser that we called the Cobb Rotary Challenge. And I say fundraiser because the main purpose was just a great fun play day contest among the clubs, where we had golf, tennis, bocce, horseshoes, and so forth. In the process, we also managed to raise a little money, which usually was divided proportionally among the 7 clubs. But one year in particular, we decided to pool our proceeds and see if we could do a project through the Wheelchair Foundation. Now, I don't remember exactly how much money we had to work with, but it wasn't a huge sum. But by partnering with each other and then with a district in California, we were able to apply for a matching grant that allowed us to also partner with the Rotary Foundation. The end result was that we were able to fund a $125,000 project that provided 6 shipping containers full of wheelchairs, that's almost 1,700 wheelchairs, to a district in Malaysia where an ambassadorial scholar from our district was studying at the time. That kind of outcome would have been next to impossible if any one club had tried to do it themselves. But by partnering with each other, we were able to pull it off and make a huge impact. And every club that participated got credit for the project. So those are the kinds of things you can do when you partner. Last year, the majority of the global grant projects that came out of this district were the result of partnerships among District 6900 clubs. One in particular was the project of the Marietta Club. Working with a host club in Uganda, the purpose of their project was to establish vocational training courses for young people in the slums who had no skills and no way of earning a living. The project budget was nearly $50,000, something the Marietta Club couldn't do alone, even with matching funds from the foundation. 3 smaller clubs, Harris County, Henry County, and Griffin Daybreak, agreed to help out. None of those clubs were in a position to do a big project either, but by forming this 4-way partnership locally and then partnering with the club and district in Uganda and the Rotary Foundation, the project came to life. In addition, having more clubs in the mix brought more ideas to the table about what the project could accomplish. So the project turned out to be even better than originally envisioned. Again, the power of partnerships. Consider as well partnering with other organizations in your community. Right now, the West End Club is working on a project in Liberia that will have financial support from some non-Rotarian organizations in Atlanta. Bob Hope in the Atlanta Club has partnered with some churches for his club's grant project in Honduras. The churches aren't providing funding for the grant itself, but they are providing manpower, equipment, and supplies that the grant couldn't cover. The same thing can happen at the local level. Each club in our district has the opportunity to apply for district grant funds, but some clubs don't even bother to apply. People, what are you thinking? This is your money, our money, that was contributed to the foundation 3 years ago. Come and get it. And if you don't have a project that could use some extra funding, contact a nearby club and offer to help with their project. On the flip side, if you have a project that needs more funding than you can get from a district grant, consider asking another club to partner with you. Just remember, a true partnership is a collaboration and cooperation between 2 or more individuals or organizations. It's not simply giving money to another organization to support a project of that organization. That's a donation, not a partnership. So choose your project partners carefully to make sure that you and your partners are working toward a mutual goal, that you have a mutual understanding of the roles each of you will play, and that both you and your partners take responsibility for the outcome of the project. In short, there are lots and lots of ways in which you can partner with other Rotary clubs and other organizations to help your club increase your annual giving contributions and make the most of your foundation funds. It's all about getting creative and thinking about things in a different way. Incidentally, in addition to being our primary partner in service, the Rotary Foundation also has formed some strategic partnerships of its own. Since the early years of Polio Plus, we have been partnering with the CDC, the WHO, and UNICEF. More recently, the Foundation has partnered with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Now, in addition, the Foundation has formed a partnership with Oiko Credit, a Netherlands-based cooperative financial institution that supports socially responsible investing. As well, through a partnership with the Aga Khan University, the Foundation will offer package grants for Rotary clubs and districts to establish vocational training teams. The teams will enhance the clinical and administrative skills of health educators at the university's campus in Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda. Just in the past 3 weeks, the Foundation has formed a strategic partnership with Mercy Ships, which will enable us to work with a globally recognized leader in the delivery of vital medical and surgical care to the world's most vulnerable populations. So not only is the Foundation encouraging us to form partnerships, they're doing it themselves. Not long ago, I heard someone say, Rotary just isn't what it used to be. Well, guess what? It never was. We always have room here for improvement. You too can use the power of partnerships at home and abroad to extend your reach and strengthen your projects. You have the power to do that, my friends. It's all up to you. Well, I see that my computer is trying to tell me something, so thank you again for spending some time here today. I'll be happy to answer questions, or feel free to call or email me. Thank you.
Thank you, Sally. And with that, we'll end today's presentation. If you have any questions regarding this presentation, please feel free to contact Sally Platt. Sally, do you want to give them your email address?
It's very simple. It's just S as in Sam, E as in Echo, Platt, my last name, at CS, like Charlie Sam, .com. That's S-E Platt at CS.com.
Great. Well, thank you again, Sally. That was a fantastic presentation, and we really do appreciate you spending time with us this month.
Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate all your help.